Welcome to HITC Sport. Right backs. Is there any more lower form of life? Is there any more of a pointless existence? You might compare them to earthworms you just found at the bottom of your shoe, or one-legged butterflies who copulate butterfly spunk on your curtains. Or at least, that's how right backs used to be viewed, as nothing more than the fat postman with bladder problems. I'm sure most of you probably came to the conclusion that right backs shouldn't even be allowed to vote.
Who wants to grow up to be Gary Neville?
Probably people with undercooked pizza for brains. When I was growing up, my fellow classmates in school would score in the playground and pretend that they were Ronaldo, Kaká, Steven Gerrard. I don't remember anyone trying to copy Steve Finnan. I mean, one kid in my class did take an unhealthy fancy to Glenn Johnson, but he was the type of guy who you wouldn't be surprised if he was now locked up in jail for eating his sister's face. But lady, what is with the other resurgence of English right backs? Did women spend the 90s giving birth while standing on their head? Were Tesco selling pregnant women jars of Gary Neville sweat? Were their husbands eating Lee Dixon skin cream? And I mean, like, what's the reason for this? How are there so many good right backs right now? This is a nationwide epidemic that's out of control. Here's an exercise. Go look outside your bedroom window now, and you'll probably see more potential right backs than pigeons in the sky. Women of the country, please stop giving birth to so many potential right backs. Soon, there'll be more right backs per household in this country than there are teeth in my head. To prove that it's spiraling out of control, let's pick a 23-man England squad for the Euros, comprised of nothing but versatile right backs, and just see how strong that squad could actually be. By the way, quick shout out to James. He did a similar idea on an expo last week. Go whack subscribe in his channel. Go on. Anyway, right now I'm going to detail the starting 11 and then whack in the extra 12 right back subs to stick on the bench. Right, let's go. Goalkeeper Carl Jenkinson. Well, this is a good start. About 15 top class right backs in the country, and I'm starting this list off by picking Carl Jenkinson in goal. If Gareth Southgate actually did this, he'd be quickly escorted to the loony bin by men in white coats. But listen, hear me out. Jenkinson has played in goal for West Ham for about 2 minutes against a lesser team about to win the league in 2015. I'm not saying he's any good in goal. I'm not saying he has more or less reflexes than a melted egg sandwich. But, I mean, who else am I gonna pick in nets? Right wing back Tariq Lamptey. You have to feel sorry for Tariq Lamptey. Here's a promising 20-year-old right wing back. And honestly, if Reece James had just fatally choked on a Lego block as a child, then this guy would be the one taking advantage of a Chelsea transfer ban to currently be a Champions League winner. This fella joined Chelsea aged 8 years old, so make no mistake about it, right now, watching his youth teammates lift the cup whilst he's praying for a bout of food poisoning to break out in England camp. Oh, his tears must be saltier than a box of chicken McNuggets, which are probably made from horse kidneys, aren't they? Anyway, considering this guy is the fastest footballer in the league, he's quicker than most taxis, then stick him in this team at right wing back and he'd eat opposition defenses alive at the Euros. By the way, I was trying to have many subscribers as soon as possible. If you're enjoying the content, I want to see more like this, then smash that big fat red button. Anyway, back into the video. Right centre back Kyle Walker. Listen, I know Kyle Walker played 9 minutes in goal for Man City, but I think he's too good a player to waste sticking in nets. It'd be like putting on an all-star rock concert and telling Bruce Springsteen to clean the public toilets and hand out sandwiches at the interval. The utter disrespect and waste of talent. I know you're depriving the team of Walker's raw pace by sticking him as centre back, but he's comfortable on the ball. Has played this right-sided centre back role at the World Cup. So yeah, stick him in there again and he'd do a job. Centre back Luke Ayling. Usually when a newly promoted club outperforms to the extent that it forces gone beans with hamburger for brains to get Paddy Bamford tattoos in August, they'd at least be given a sniff of an England cap. Not this season though. Listen, Luke Ayling is a brilliant 29-year-old Leeds right back, but again, right now, he's probably about 15th in the pecking order. Let's be honest, Gareth Southgate will sooner be making love to a cereal box in his office than giving Luke Ayling a call this summer. But listen, he's versatile, can play centre back too. Crazy up, he was an FA Youth Cup double winning centre half at Arsenal, and yet they still chose to dump him in favour of Sebastian Scalacci. Whoever made that decision at the club should probably now have all the sharp cutlery removed from his house for his own safety. So yes, a right back who can play centre back too. Stop this guy into the middle of the England defence. Left centre back Kieran Trippier. Okay, you're probably all going to think I've just drank a milkshake that I found outside a midnight rave, right? That any minute now you're going to watch me suffer a stroke live on camera because Kieran Trippier at centre back? Why don't I also go and lick the inside of a flower pot? Listen, hear me out. Trippier is a technically superb footballer. So playing as a left-sided centre back, yes, it's an unnatural position for him, but surely he can pass his way out of trouble. And after spending 2 years learning under Diego Simeone, I'm pretty sure by now he's a much more complete defender than that walking car crash bird brain who was full of mistakes in his final season at Tottenham. It's a risk, but I think Trippier could play left centre back in the back three. I mean, what do you think? Left wing back Reece James. 2 years ago, when the evolution of right backs first broke out in England, as if it was something out of I Am Legend, just replace zombies with right backs. Reece James could realistically have wound up being Will Smith in that movie, having absolutely no contact with the outside world. He could realistically have kissed goodbye to ever earning a single England cap in his life. I mean, stopped out on loan at Wigan. He was probably about 16th choice, probably about as appealing to Southgate then as eating an entire jar of out-of-date marmalade. But right now, lads, he's a Champions League winning right back who could realistically be first choice for England this summer. Lads, he's strong, versatile, and brilliant as a 1v1 defender. But also, look at his athleticism. I'm convinced he eats nothing but bowls of creatine for breakfast and probably spends his afternoon arm wrestling farmyard bulls. But for raw pace alone, I think you could shoehorn him into being a right-footed left wing back. Central midfield, Wan-Bissaka. Lad, Wan-Bissaka is a £60 million first choice Manchester United right back, and yet he's uncapped and ready to switch to Dr. Congo. Lads, he is a better 1v1 right back than Gary Neville ever was, and he hoovered up nearly 90 goddamn caps. Does that not indicate how out of control this right back epidemic is? Women, please, if you're going to overpopulate the country with right backs, then can you please just pop on a plane and give birth to your son in Galway or Sligo? Seamus Coleman is nearly 33, and Matt Doherty is as defensively sound as a soggy piece of toast. So please, just share the right backs around. Anyway, listen, I know Wan-Bissaka spent his youth playing up front as a striker, but have you seen his attacking play lately? I'd sooner be trusting a prematurely born hamster to score a goal than him. But with his tough tackling, his brilliant 1v1, then stick him as a defensive rock in midfield, besides a creative force like this man. Central midfield, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Lads, I'm not even joking. A combination of the steel of Aaron Wan-Bissaka and the vision and creativity of Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's like sticking Nemanja Matic alongside Cesc Fabregas, and guess what? That won Chelsea the league. Stick Wan-Bissaka in there to do nothing more than win tackles and retrieve the ball, and then have a potential midfield magician like Trent Alexander-Arnold beside him, arguably the most creative right back on the planet. A guy who reads the game well, has delicious technique. I'm convinced this midfield duo would utterly make this team tick. Right wing, Max Aarons. Is Max Aarons worth the hype? How many 21-year-old right backs do you know who managed to get relegated in a North defence looking about as sturdy as shredded newspaper, only to wind up getting linked to both Man United and Barcelona? Listen, Aaron scrapes his way into this starting lineup. He's got a raw pace. He doesn't score goals, but hey, where else are you gonna put him? If he's supposed Barcelona quality, then this former Luton Town right back will learn how to play right wing, alright? Maybe he'll get tips from his cousin Rolando. Actually, don't do that, he's got the end product of an unclogged toilet bowl. Striker Ashley Young. Lads, we live in a world where an English right back with nearly 300 games for Man United under his belt, and has just won Serie A with Inter Milan, is not even getting into Gareth Southgate's thoughts. It is ridiculous. Am I the only one who remembers England bringing Danny Mills to tournaments? Glenn Johnson should be thankful every day he wasn't born in this generation, because he'd have about 2 England caps to his name. To be fair, Ashley Young has played mostly as a left midfielder for Inter Milan this season, but I don't care, the guy's a right back in my eyes, and he used to play up front for Watford back in the Stone Age, so yeah, he's 35 now, but he's the only man in this entire squad who knows how to do a job up top. Left wing, Matty Cash. Don't worry, Aston Villa fans, here is Matty Cash. Good grace, if I didn't include him, you'd probably all be acting as if I took a wheat in your granny's coffin. Listen, you don't get more versatile than Matty Cash. He's 23 and already played nearly as many games in right midfield as he has right back. He's played over 20 times in the centre of the park, 11 times in attacking midfield, and even filled in as a left winger and second striker. Man's got pace, and 2 seasons ago, he banged in 8 goals in 1 season for Nottingham Forest. So yeah, stick him on the left here, he'd do a job. Although, be prepared though, when he does play left wing, it usually ends up being pretty crazy. Like scoring in a 5-5 draw with Aston Villa in 2018, or then banging in 2 in a 3-3 draw with Norwich. Things just get a bit weird. Alright, so we're not done there, lads. That's the starting 11 playing in a 5-3-2 formation, and honestly lads, that team would still beat Ireland. But now let's get into the meat and butter of the substitutes. Alright, there's no backup goalie, alright? If Jenkinson gets injured, then just stick Kyle Walker in nets, alright? I know, the levels of preparation here. It's like hopping into the middle of London traffic with no brakes, but listen, let's go. Jayden Bogle. In a squad of pure right backs, you're gonna need versatile players on the bench. So here's Jayden Bogle, a pacey right back who can operate in other positions. Forget the fact he's just had his career force-fed down his throat with a relegation at Sheffield United. He is still a promising enough right back. He can play right midfield, left back, centre back, defensive midfield. This guy is so damn versatile. He's probably one of the few men on the planet who can multitask. Christ, that sounds like one of those jokes you might overhear at a middle-aged women's knitting club.
Oh, aren't men the worst?
George Baldock, another one from Sheffield United. Listen, forget the fact he's been converted into a right winger at Bramall Lane. George Baldock is a right back by trade. That's where he spent a decade of his life playing for MK Dons and over 130 games for Sheffield United. But yeah, he's versatile, can play on either wing or at centre back, so brilliant, stick him on the bench. James Justin. I hope James Justin doesn't watch this video or he'll feel a sickly taste of vomit on his tonsils. Like Aarons, another former Luton Town right back, but he's just played over 30 times for the 5th best team in England this season, whilst also winning an FA Cup. And he can't make the starting 11 for a team consisting only of English right backs? That's like Harry Styles not getting invited to a sleepover exclusively for nauseating boy band rejects whose lyrics sound like whiny donkey groans. Listen, Justin should feel rightly disgusted not to make the starting 11. But hey, listen, he's versatile, he can play a bunch of different positions, including at centre back, so just take your seat on the bench. Although Leicester fans are probably going to evade the comments like a sea of sexually frustrated Vikings. Kyle Naughton. When Kyle Naughton joined Kyle Walker in that deal from Sheffield United to Tottenham in 2009, he probably thought he'd be a fully fledged England international by now. Instead, he's spending his peak years stumbling in playoff finals with Swansea. To be fair, he's a good championship defender who's mostly played centre back this season, so yeah, he'd be a backup to his old buddy Walker as a right-sided centre half on the bench. John Joe Kenny. I don't particularly rate John Joe Kenny, and clearly neither does Carlo Ancelotti. I mean, Christ, when you've worked with Paolo Maldini for so long, I'm pretty sure John Joe Kenny will by contrast look like a walking punctured bag of quavers. That is a 24-year right back who spent last season on loan at Celtic, and the year before with Schalke. He's got European experience, he can play centre back too, so yeah, bring him as a centre back up to Luke Ayling. Ben Johnson. Apparently Ben Johnson is the next West Ham youth star coming through at 21 years of age. Although to be fair, they tricked me once with Reece Oxford. So now I'm sorry, but I look at West Ham Academy graduates the same way you might look at that creepy neighbour who constantly has a telescope pointed at your sister's window, i.e. loaded with suspicion. But listen, Johnson can play left back as well, and crucially as a centre back, so he'd be a decent backup option for Kieran Trippier as a left-sided centre back on the bench. Darnell Furlong. Make no mistake about it, Darnell Furlong has largely been a wet cowpat for West Brom this season. Another right back born in Luton. Good Christ, do pregnant women of that city just brainwash their uteruses into loving right backs? Were they all impregnated by Tony Hibbert on a post-divorce prowl? I don't get this. Anyway, Furlong, he's 25, championship standard, yes, but he can also fill in on the wing. Just chuck him in the squad. Kyle Walker-Peters. Nothing should ram home the ridiculous epidemic in this country than the fact that Tottenham were able to replace Kyle Walker with another Kyle Walker at right back. It's laughable now. Listen, Walker-Peters can play on the left, he can play in midfield. I'd bring him as versatile cover, even though at times he is defensively naive and so error prone he'd probably be at risk of setting fire to the house when trying to pour a bowl of frosted shredded wheat. Joel Ward. Joel Ward. About 20th choice right back for England at the Euros this summer. So unless he's gonna hire an Italian hitman on Gumtree to have his competition whacked, he's probably not gonna feature in Southgate's squad. But listen, he's first choice Palace right back. He can also play in midfield, so I'd be a good backup option for Wan-Bissaka in that defensive midfield option. Adam Smith. Here's Adam Smith, a 30-year-old Bournemouth right back, technically good, can spank in a goal, but crucially can also play on the left wing. So here's a brilliant backup option for Matty Cash in that three-man attack. Matthew Loughton. This is arguably the most boring footballer of all time. Matthew Loughton is a no-nonsense Burnley right back who scores a wonder goal on average once every 7 years. Just stick him on the bench and just try to avoid eye contact with him during the entire tournament. James Tavernier. I'm sorry, a right back with 73 career goals to his name. Where else is James Tavernier going other than up front? I know it's the Scottish leagues with Rangers, but I don't care. He scored 12 more goals than Jermaine Defoe this season, who admittedly probably now has fibrosis in both knees. But that's an attacking right back with 19 goals this season. If he was Irish, we'd be building the entire team around him. Go on, stick him as a backup striker to Ashley Young. He knows where the net is. Honestly, Southgate should consider sticking this guy in his England squad, if only for the inevitable penalty shootout. So there you have it, an entire 23-man England squad consisting of nothing but right backs, but still Nathaniel Clyne, a former Liverpool right back with 14 England caps, he still can't get a look in. That shows you how ridiculous and over bloated this is. I'm convinced this starting 11 of England right backs would beat my Ireland national team. How embarrassing is that? And lads, this team would probably still claw their way out of the Euro 2021 group. Let me know in the comments, how would you pick this squad? What other right backs did I miss out? Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.